Do you know what the first video on YouTube is? It's Jawed Karim, one of YouTube's creators. And he's at a zoo and he's talking about elephants and their trunks. And it's a nice, cool little 19-second video. Let me scroll down and see what the description says. Microplastics are accumulating in human brains at an alarming rate. Nanoplastics in human health. Yes, microplastics. Do you use plastic? I'm sure you do, even if you don't want to. Are you worried about microplastics? I am. That's why I'm making this video. And that's why I'm going to complain about it. Let's start by acknowledging that plastic is everywhere in the modern world. Kitchen utensils, your clothes, your blankets, your furniture. You couldn't escape it even if you wanted to. Even if you were an idealist and you did everything 100% right and you tried to minimize your exposure to plastics, that wouldn't stop the accumulation of plastic in your food, in your meats that you buy, in your testicles. Exhibit A, let's look at the food chain. We have our agricultural system. This is the stuff that gives us food, fruits, vegetables. We were all taught that things degrade over time, right? Like if you dropped an apple in the dirt, bugs would eat it and then it would further decompose and then it would sink into the soil and then the plants would use it for nutrients. And I'm sure that you've also seen somewhere that plastic takes millions of years to decompose. And even then it doesn't decompose because it just breaks into tinier parts of toxic chemicals that are referred to as microplastics. So then where does that leave us? We have our agriculture, we're feeding our crops, and then who's eating our crops? We're eating the crops. And then who else is eating the crops? Our animals are eating the crops. And then we're farming the animals, and then we're eating the animals, and then we're getting all of the microplastics at the end of the food chain, and then now microplastics in my blood. Now, do you remember Exhibit A with that apple? Think about that Walmart bag that you used from your grocery trip 2 days ago. And that's sitting in the soil somewhere because you forgot to recycle it, or it dropped out of your car, or you're an inconsiderate human being. Or that water bottle from 2011 that you got from the gas station, and then now it's decomposing somewhere. And this is happening all of the time. So now we're in this weird place where over the last several decades of mass producing plastics with no way to get rid of it, all of it has been breaking down into our earth, into our soil, into our air, into our water. And yeah, it's over for us. This is gradually accumulating hundreds of millions of tons of plastic, and there's nothing we can do about it. Also, the reduce, reuse, recycle thing was all a gimmick propagated by a bunch of plastic companies to try to shift the blame onto the consumer for the reason that the earth is dying and not from the fact that they were mass producing hundreds of millions of tons of plastic every year. But anyway, so now we have to start looking at solutions, right? Can we shoot it off into the moon? You know, I had this irrational fear as a child that landfills were eventually going to fill every crevice of the earth, and the only way that we were going to be able to combat it is if we started sending spaceships out to space filled with garbage, and that was going to be the only respite that we got. But unfortunately, I don't think it would work for plastic either. So now that we've established that plastic accumulation is a growing problem, let's figure out why it matters. We're clearly consuming plastic on an everyday basis, and if little old Jared's video didn't make you realize that already, there are some scientific studies to help prove that theory. Microplastics are accumulating in our brains, in our organs, in our bodies. So if we examine one of these studies that little old Jawed posted in his description, and they were looking at the brain, and basically what they came up to say was that the brains that they were looking at on average contained about 4,800 micrograms of plastic. Scaled up across the entire brain, that accumulates to about a plastic spoon's worth. Not a spoon's full plastic.
Only a spoonful.
No, like an actual disposable plastic spoon. I wish I had one for this bit for the video, but unfortunately I don't. I just have the spatula that I've attached my microphone to because my roommate thought it was a good idea. And it's getting worse, not better. So whatever's in your brain right now, if you're reading this in a few years, congratulations, you have more plastic in your blood. And it's not just in your brain, by the way, in case you were worried that it was only limited to, your little old cranium. No, this has actually been found to have been a problem across multiple organs, including your liver, kidneys, human placentas, testicles, and carotid arteries. So yes, I was right. Earlier I said that this shit is in your balls. But I do also want to say that there's an important consideration. Nobody knows what this is doing to us yet. The leading theories point to things like inflammation, cellular damage, oxidative stress, and interference with our normal neurological function. And a little fun fact, researchers had also seen that people who were developing dementia had higher levels of microplastics in their brain than those who didn't. And another fun fact, there's no control group for people that don't have plastics anymore. Pretty much every human on Earth has plastic in some capacity in their body. So where does that leave us? Plastic is in us. it's increasing in us as years go by. We don't have hard proof of what this is doing to us, but there's a difference between we don't know for sure that it's doing harm and you should feel great about having plastic in your blood and brain. So you would think that a headline like, hey, there's an alarming amount of microplastics that's accumulating in our brains and we don't know how to stop it or what to do, that would invoke some governmental action, right? Yeah. Well, I got news for you. In the United States, there have been no laws or regulations outside of a 2015 federal ban on micro beads and plastic fucking cosmetics. Nothing is being done in the US about it. Occasionally, you'll see things like, some states are banning some single-use bags, but ultimately, the microplastic problem is not being addressed at all. And I think that there's some millions of dollars going into researching the plastic problem. But again, that is a completely different thing from, hey, we're researching to see if this is a problem versus, hey, this absolutely could be an imminent problem and we should probably take this more seriously because we don't want to have a bunch of plastics in our brain that we won't figure out as a problem until it's too late. So the science isn't really moving fast in any of these places, and the microplastics are moving faster. If you're waiting for someone else to fix this for you, bring some popcorn because it's gonna be a while. Okay, so should you panic? Here's a non-hysterical answer. Maybe. Probably, but not 100%. It's in the food chain, the water supply, the air, and as we've established already, your organs. No matter what you do, there's really nothing you can do to get rid of it completely. That being said, there are things that you can do to be a little bit more defensive. There's a few science-backed ways to address some of the exposures to plastics to minimize your exposure, but not completely eliminate them, because as we've already established, it's a little hard to do. Step 1, ditch bottled water while you can. I think there was like a study that said 200,000 little bits of microplastics can be floating around in a single water bottle. So just take that into consideration next time you're sipping your Dasani. Try not to reheat food in plastic containers because the plastic can leach into your food and it's accelerated with heat. And that's not good unless you like the way that it makes your food taste. Try to cut down on polyester and synthetic fabrics that are shedding microfiber plastics into your skin. Please try to take a shot every time I say microplastic because I feel like you'll have a great time. And in case I haven't made it clear enough, nothing that you will do will make your life plastic free. Like I said, time and time again, even if you take all of the right steps, you're still ingesting plastic one way or another, or it's going to be in your environment, you're going to be inhaling it. And even if you go live in a far remote village far away and you collect your own rainwater in a wooden bowl and you drink that, you won't be safe. Because microplastics are in rainwater. So are microplastics low-key killing us? Based on everything that we went through, probably not killing us, but probably killing us. While it's slowly accumulating in your blood, brain, and balls, we can all sit here and try to ride out the wave as long as we can while we spin on this rock into an infinite void. So take the steps that you can, look out for yourself today, and always remember this fun fact. Plastic doesn't decompose. So if you don't want to decompose, eat as much plastic as possible, because then you won't decompose. Thank you for watching. If you want more content like this, or if you have any video suggestions, feel free to like, subscribe, and hit that bell. And I promise you that won't expose you to any microplastics because that bell is made out of metal and not plastic. Don't worry, don't become hysterical, don't become cynical. There is still good in the world. Everything is sunshine and rainbows depending on your worldview. And I believe in you.